Hello beautiful ladies, and welcome to today's video where we're going to be talking about my glow up. So as I've said on my channel before, I haven't always been classic. There have definitely been times in my life where I've been more or less classic, and it was definitely a process for me to get to where I am today, both internally and externally, both how I behave and how I feel that my personality has improved and how I've changed the way that I look. And I was actually inspired to do this video because Mrs. Midwest did a video just like this about her glow up story. I'm gonna link that in the description box. I really enjoyed hearing her story and how she made herself feel even more beautiful, even more glowy, all of that. And so I was inspired to share my story and about how I had a glow up and what I did to go from where I was to where I'm at now. So I'm really excited to share with you guys kind of how I improved myself both inside and out. So my story sort of begins in high school because when I was in high school, I was at an all-girls high school. So I really didn't care that much about the way that I looked. I would wear big sweatshirts. I would wear pajama pants under my skirts. We had a uniform, but I would just put pajama pants underneath. And I really just didn't care about keeping myself looking really nice. I wasn't hanging around guys. I wasn't trying to impress anyone. I was going to school to learn and I just didn't care about the way that I looked. So I never wore makeup, and if I did, I was only wearing eyeliner and I was only wearing it on the bottom lash line. It was a look. I never did my hair. I never heat styled it. I never got it dyed, anything like that. My skin was something I was really struggling with right near the end of my high school career. It was just not doing well at all. And I didn't even really think about fashion just because I was wearing a uniform to school. So I had some nice dresses for the weekends and for Sabbath, but I really didn't have like a style. And so it wasn't until I went to college where I didn't have to wear a uniform that I started to think about fashion a little bit more. But even then, I wouldn't say I had a glow up because I was still kind of just following trends. I was still wearing clothing that was following certain modesty rules, and I would just buy things because they happened to be long enough, not because I actually liked them or thought I would wear them a lot, but because, oh, this is long enough, or oh, this covers the right body parts. And I wasn't putting any thought into what I was actually choosing to wear. And I still really hadn't learned to do makeup. I kind of was trying it a little bit, but I hadn't really figured it out. And I just really hadn't developed my personal style and what exactly I wanted to look like, and that there were certain interests I had that would reflect on my elegance and how I wanted to behave. So things really started changing for me when I went to my master's program, because that was when I learned how to do makeup. I know that a lot of you are probably similar to me. I learned how to do everything I know about makeup from YouTube. I actually started watching videos and I started realizing how it can really make a difference when you do your makeup. And I loved the whole process. It made me very relaxed. It was something I really enjoyed. It was an artistic, creative outlet for me. And I really learned how to make my best features stand out. Now, it was definitely a process because at the beginning, I was just kind of following YouTube gurus without really knowing my skin type, without really knowing what features I wanted to emphasize. And so I was kind of doing it all wrong for a little while. I remember a specific occasion where I was wearing a dewy, luminous foundation, and at the time I had very oily skin and I wore it to a baseball game, and I like went up to scratch my face and the foundation just came off on my hand, and I was like, oh, I think I did this wrong. So it definitely was a process for me. But that was kind of the first step in my classic glow up. But the rest of it is a little bit different. And I wanna get into how I began my classic glow up and how you can do the same if it's something that you wanna incorporate into your life. So let's get into it. The first thing that I needed to do to start my glow up was take care of my skin. Now, I had very acne prone, comedogenic skin when I was in high school and when I was in my master's program. And I kind of just resigned myself to it. I said, I'm just going to live with this. I'm gonna learn how to do my makeup so I can cover it. And I just kind of gave up on the whole process. And it wasn't until I went to my dermatologist for something else entirely that he said, have you talked to someone about your acne in a while? And I was embarrassed and I said, you know, I recognize that this may not be something I can fix. And he said, that's not acceptable. We're gonna work on this together. He's an amazing doctor, and so when we talked about it and we worked through it, I was able to really come up with a regimen that worked for me, that made my skin a lot better. Does that mean I never get acne? No. I share that I have acne pretty frequently on my Instagram stories because acne is totally normal, but working with a doctor made a huge difference for me and really made it so that I felt more confident in my skin, in my looks, in my femininity, and it just made me feel a lot better. Now, can you be beautiful with acne? Of course. I have acne right now. I have acne on my chin that is just gonna live there until we're done with masks. But for me, that was sort of the first step in my glow up story because I was really trying to find ways to make myself feel better and feel more confident. And that was a really good first step in the whole process. So my skincare started off just with working with my doctor, finding the right topical creams so that I could really heal my skin. But nowadays I have a whole skincare regimen just because I really want to take good care of my skin now so that 20 years from now, 30 years from now, I'm not having to deal with the results of me not having taken care of my skin earlier because it's very hard to undo damage to your skin. So I use a lot of oils, a lot of creams. I wear sunscreen every day. I'm very careful about my skin so that it does look nicer as I age. And so I feel like really taking the time to develop my skincare regimen was the first step for me in becoming more classic and having that classic glow up. So of course, taking care of my skin and seeing results in my skincare routine is an outward beauty sort of thing, but it also kind of teaches you responsibility and is inwardly also teaching you something about I need to take care of myself, even if this isn't something that's going to be attractive just because I put skincare stuff on my face like makeup, right, where you see an immediate result. It's something that I need to do for the future. It's a responsible action. And that was something I think that does also make me feel more classic, is I'm not just thinking about today, I'm thinking about the future. So after taking care of my skin, I really learned more about how to do my makeup. So I mentioned a little bit about how I learned how to do makeup, but I didn't really know my skin type until everything had cleared up. And once I treated my acne, then I found that I had more of combo skin. There were parts of my face that are normal and parts of my skin that's dry and parts of my face that are oily. And so I could find the right foundations and primers that really did work for me, and that changed my whole makeup routine because focusing on the skin with makeup, I think, is the first really base part of everything, because if your skin looks nice and fresh and healthy, then all the rest of it is just fun. It's just gravy. So I get to do really fun makeup looks now, eye makeup and lip colors and all that. But if you know what products work best on your skin, then you can feel even more beautiful and feel more confident. And I really taught myself, as well as my skin, how to accentuate my best features. So I started learning how to do a cat eye, and that was something I really loved doing, and figuring out the best mascaras for me because I like accentuating my eyes and my brows. And then I learned how to contour. Contour was very important for me because I wanted to bring out my cheekbones and my jaw and all of that. And learning how to do makeup, again, I would say it almost has two parts to it. It has that inside feeling, and then also, of course, you're learning how to make yourself more beautiful. But internally, it also made me feel like I had a creative space. It's something I can do when I just want to relax, calm down, just feel more at peace. And it's also a way for me to take control of how people perceive me. And so that is a classic quality, is the idea of I want to take care of my looks so that when I make a first impression, I have some aspect of control over what someone thinks when they meet me. And that was something that made me feel more classic over time. The third part of my classic glow up was beginning to exercise. Because the fact of the matter is I really didn't exercise very much throughout my life. I would kind of have 2 or 3 months where I was very, very rigorous about going to yoga classes or doing videos on YouTube that were exercise classes, and then I would just let it lapse. And when Jacob and I met, it actually wasn't until Jacob and I met that I got very serious about my exercise routine, because he's very serious about his exercise routine. And that really taught me that I should be taking care of my body, that I should be trying to do what's best for my body in the long run. And so I started doing weightlifting, which I love. It's very important for women because you can get osteoporosis as you get older, and doing weightlifting or body weight is a very important way to strengthen your bones. And it's something that I also just love doing. And I started seeing a real change in my physical body because I wasn't heavy or anything in high school or college, but I just didn't have any muscle tone. And I would have nightmares about getting in fights with people and not being able to fight back because I just just didn't feel strong. And when I finally started to really exercise and take control of that part of my life, I felt so much better in the way that I looked, in the ways that my clothes fit, in the way that I felt when I walked around, that I just felt like I had more strength in my body. And that made me so happy, it made me feel so much more classic. So that was definitely a step in becoming more classic. And then the other part of that was fixing my diet. I was not careful about what I ate really for a very long time. If I was lazy and I didn't pack a lunch, I would eat a chocolate bar for lunch. It was not good for me. And again, I didn't really gain weight, but I just wasn't getting the nutrients I needed. I was feeling tired. I wasn't doing the best thing for me. And when I started exercising, it was the same time I started looking at my diet and thinking, okay, how can I get the most out of what I'm eating? How can I get the most nutrients that will really nourish me? All of those things that start making up a healthy diet, I started to take into account. Now, does quarantine affect how I eat? Yes. But I would say that I'm starting to get back on the horse as far as eating healthily, and that was part of my classic glow up, was being careful about what I put into my body, as well as being careful about how I build strength in my body. Next up, I want to talk about my hair. So I never did anything with my hair at all, and it was very, very healthy because, as they call it, it was virgin hair. I'd never colored it. I really rarely heat styled it. I would kind of cut it off and then grow it out and cut it off and grow it out, and I was just not really doing anything with it. And when I was in my master's program, I started dyeing my hair for the first time. I went through a lot of different colors. I went pretty light, and then I went very red, and now I'm, of course, back to my natural color, but now I love where I'm at with my hair. I have never been happier with my hair. I've gotten highlights around my face and a few dispersed in the back of my hair, and it just brings a little bit of light to my face and really brings the attention to this part of me, because when my hair is natural, it's very, very dark, and it can be very stark, that color contrast, but bringing in the highlights around my face just brings a little bit of lightness and brightness, and I love that for summertime. I also just love it generally. I feel so nice with that. When I started figuring out what haircuts really worked for me and how much I love taking care of my hair, just really having hair, I love the length. That was when I felt the most classic, and that was really part of my glow up. I used to have long hair, but I really wouldn't take care of it, style it, get interesting haircuts. I would mostly just kind of keep the length. But now I really do try and get more regular haircuts. I'm not gonna do it every 6 weeks because that's a lot for me, but I do try and get more regular haircuts. I have side bangs, which I think is a really flattering cut for me, and just figuring out what haircut would look best on you. And if you're interested in coloring your hair, maybe not doing an entirely different color, but maybe just doing some soft highlights or lowlights around your face to kind of add some dimension. Because I can tell you that when I got those highlights around the front of my face the first time on my channel, I got so many comments and compliments from you guys about how different it looked and how nice it looked. So that just confirmed to me how important it is to find a haircut that really does work for you, a hair color that really does work for you. And I love taking care of my hair as well. I have a whole system of different products that I use for different kind of activities and things and what I want for my hair that day. And so just figuring out your hair story and figuring out what you want from it is really classic and will make you go from just somebody who has hair to somebody who really loves your hair. Next up, I want to talk about fashion, because I really didn't have a fashion. I was just kind of wearing clothes. And I definitely had a little bit of a journey with this as well, where I started off just buying clothing because it was long enough and modest enough, but not really being picky about what I liked. And then I kind of went off that track and was like, oh, I can wear anything I want. I'm just gonna buy anything I want. And it was just a crazy array of clothing that was immodest, that didn't really fit me very well, that wasn't really my sense of style. I would wear it once and then kind of be like, oh, what do I do with this now? And oddly enough, it wasn't until I got married that I started to really take control of my wardrobe. It was like there was this click in my brain that I really wanted to have a sense of style. And it wasn't just I wanted to follow the trends or I wanted to wear what everyone else was wearing. It was I wanted to reflect what I really like. And so for me, that's very feminine clothing and very nautical inspired clothing. I love blue and white and navy and white stripes. All of that makes me so happy. big flower prints. I love dresses, and embracing my sense of style a little bit more and really trying to define it, and only really buying pieces I fell in love with. Not just buying pieces because, oh, it's in my price range and it's kind of close to what I wanted, but buying pieces that I really care about. And it's actually really interesting because I'm very picky about skirts, and I only have like, I don't know, 6 or 7 in my closet because I haven't come across a lot of skirts lately that I really love. So I have a ton of dresses because I love dresses, but the skirts that I've seen lately, just I haven't fallen in love with, and so I haven't bought very many. And so narrowing down my wardrobe to what I really like, and I think at some point I'm gonna do another purge and get rid of some older pieces of mine that are not really my sense of style right now. It just makes you feel like you have a handle and a grasp on what is really you. And that's very classic, figuring out what works for you, what works for your body type, what makes you happy when you wear it and when you look at it. All of those things will just define your sense of style more and will make you feel even more classic. And that was a really huge part of my journey, because now I look in my closet and I just love everything that I'm seeing, and that makes me so much more happy and excited to get dressed in the morning. Now, as far as my glow up kind of internally and becoming more classic that way, I think a lot of it really did come with getting married, because you have all of a sudden a home to take care of, and you have another person who's there to support you all the time. And for me, what made me feel classic and have this glow up and more confidence was finding a sense of calm. And for me, that came from having found the person I wanted to marry, having my own home, having my creative control over what the house was gonna look like, having a real closet that was just my own, and that Jacob and I were going to events together, and we had friends that were in our friend group that we really enjoyed. And all of that made me more confident in being classic, because everything that I wanted, everything that I loved about being classic, I had somebody who loved that about me, and I wasn't trying to fit in anymore because I didn't have to. Now, do you have to get married to be confident and to have a classic glow up? No, absolutely not. You can definitely do that as a single person. It really comes down to you figuring out what makes you feel confident and not feeling like you have to follow what everyone else around you is doing. And I definitely did start to feel that before I even met Jacob. I think that's probably part of the reason why we worked so well together, was because I had started that journey for myself. And if I wasn't confident, then it's really hard to meet the right person. But it is something that you can start to incorporate into your life before you meet the guy you're gonna marry. Because if you're really assured of who you are and how you want to look and how you want to dress and how you want to feel, then all of a sudden you will be more confident and you will be ready to take on the world. And that is the most classic thing ever. So that is my glow up story, how I went from being just a normal girl to classic Abby, classically Abby, living a classic lifestyle. And as I always love to say, because it is my motto, I always think it's important to be classic. Let's be classic together. I think it's a really wonderful goal for us to hit. So I really enjoyed sharing my glow up story with you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed it too. Let me know in the comments if you've had a glow up. I'd love to hear. If you are on Instagram, please tag me if you want to show me your glow up picture. I love seeing that. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. Please subscribe to my channel and blog if you haven't already. Head over to my Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook and follow me there. Hit that notification bell to get notified of all my new videos. Hit that like button. Please head over to classicallyabby.locals.com if you'd like to support my channel, see more of this content, and be part of our community. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!